Hi, Heather.
Hi, handsome Howard. Look at you. Smart looking. Hi.
I figured I'd be smart lurking for all you beautiful ladies.
Heck yeah. So we have a couple of my board members, or Teresa's probably aspiring board member, but she's going to be the young lady that's up here. There's Teresa and Kelly.
Hi, guys.
Um,
How are you?
Hi, Bruce.
so after I'm through with my questionnaires of you, I'm going to hand it over to Teresa and ask people if they have questions to put it in chat. And then
Sure.
Teresa will just kind of randomly go through them. And I have a feeling there's going to be people who are fans of yours. So she's going to try to keep them moving because we all have a friends like, oh, can I invite my friend? He loves Bruce. I'm dying. So many people that know you are like sending me notes like, Paramount, one of our special advisors, a lady named Patricia Gonzalez. She goes, I just love Bruce. He's such a peach.
Oh, that's cute. I'm actually working with Paramount because we're releasing a big animated movie with them called Rumble.
Yeah, I love that stuff. So I'm like, so I just know you as my darling Bruce, but I mean, clearly everybody knows you too.
All good. You guys have your backgrounds. I've just got my house. I hope this is okay.
Heck yeah.
I got James Bond back there for you. Add a little flair for you.
There you go. That's really appropriate.
Wait, one at a time, guys. One at a time. One at a time. What now?
I want to ask you about your whiskey and your cologne. What do we want to tell people? And are we going to be able to maybe give one away as like a raffle prize or something? Or would you do that?
Well, the cologne is not available for another couple months, although I have a sample here to show you, which I'll surprise you with.
Okay, cool.
The Puncher's Chance, I could mail out a bottle. I'd have to mail out a bottle.
Puncher's Chance.
So, or I could have my office mail a bottle to the winner. So no problem. It just won't be.
What question should we ask? If they answer, well, the first correct answer would win that. What would be something that we could ask that's like a secret Bruce question?
Was it after I speak?
Yeah.
I'll be giving him a lot of information.
Anything that's a secret that you think that only a really big fan of yours would know? Something about your fight, something about.
Yeah, let me see. You're like a UFC fan?
Yeah.
All right, what event did I do a 360 at? What event did I jump up and do a 360 at? Okay. I only did it at one event. Okay. It was a UFC pay-per-view. You want the answer? Do you want the answer?
Yeah.
UFC.
No, I went to whiskey.
UFC 100.
100. Okay. Fabulous. Okay. We'll ask that question. Whoever answers it first will get your cologne. That'd be kind of fun.
Here, I'll give you a little taste. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Ooh.
Get my signature on the top.
Wow. So is it?
This is all over the world. It'll be in like a duty-free shops. You'll see Matthew McConaughey, Julia Roberts, and me, and it's like I'm going to drop on the floor laughing my ass off when I see that. But this is already pre-orders are all over the world for it, and it's a big deal, and it smells unbelievable. Women want to wear this. That's the feedback we're getting. So I don't want to call it unisex or what that term is when they do that, where men and women can wear it, whatever the term is. But that's where a lot of the
undertone. What's the floral? What's the
vanilla? It's kind of like, you ever smell Obsession by Calvin Klein?
Oh, please.
That's always been my favorite. As a matter of fact, Heather, when we knew each other, I was wearing it back then. That's how long I've been wearing it. So I wanted to get something similar to that had a sensual, like, you know me, Heather.
I do.
Yeah. Sensual. I want to help men get laid. Okay, there you go. I'm kidding. And I want women to enjoy it. I won't say it like that on the seminar. I'm just laughing.
It's okay.
Are you a Scorpio?
I am I'm on the cusp of May 21st of Taurus and Gemini, but I have Scorpio rising, where my side comes from. Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Heather put up with me for years back when I was like 30. So she knows that I'm just a little wild child.
And just so you guys know, I worked for Bruce. He was like the second job. The first job I had was working for Frank Zappa, and Bruce was my second. And you were wonderful. He was a really wonderful person. And it was just kind of cute after like seeing where you went with your career after I knew you, and then following you on social media. I'm like, oh, look at him. He's amazing.
A lot of changes since then.
Yeah.
I remember you with your little doggy and the whole bit.
Met you through Amy. Remember Amy? She went to prison. Amy Ralston. Remember Amy Ralston?
Was Amy my neighbor?
I forgot how you knew her.
She the one she and her husband were the ecstasy dealers. Yeah, Amy, is she still in prison?
No, she got out. Clinton pardoned her. I've
Wow.
not talked to her since. I tried to Facebook her, but she's,
Yeah, I remember that when her husband got arrested in Germany,
yeah.
when they
Mod,
changed
mod.
the ecstasy laws, and quite frankly, she and I kind of dated each other a little bit.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, when he was in prison, and then she got nailed. You know, they were
Yeah.
the biggest ecstasy importers in the United
In the
States.
world,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy. She had like 7 counts against her. It was pretty crazy stuff. And also kind of a fun story too. I had never been in a situation where I was so close to being thrown in jail myself, but I had only lived with her for a few months and I came back by her place to get my box of things. I had 3 boxes that I moved to California from Texas. And I went by to get my last box. And that was the day the IRS, the DEA, the FBI all had busted into her house. And her house looked like a tornado had hit it. It was like just shredded. And they had
That was the house
faxes.
next to
Huh?
where I lived in Marina. That was where
No,
I lived in
this is the
Marina.
one up in the hills, up above the Sunset.
Oh, okay.
And so she's just sitting there in a chair, and there was some guy named Jake and a guy named Charlie Strauss, who were the 2 guys, and I didn't know either one of them. And one of them is grilling me. And if you've ever seen a person that is so scary that you look at them and you think you've seen the devil, that was Jake. So this is his case. And he's like totally like being aggressive with me. And I made some comment. And he goes, because I've taken girls that make you look like dog shit, go behind bars for the rest of their lives. And I'm just typical Heather. I go, you're really witty. Do you do parties? They said, Charlie Strauss told me later that he considered, putting me in with her. I said, why didn't he? He said, well, he was kind of cracking up. You're like, I don't know, just brazenness. I go, I just didn't know who he was. I didn't know why he was questioning me like that. Yeah.
Yeah, got to be careful with all that. She was really fun. I really liked Amy. She was a blast. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
How many women are going to be on the meeting today?
We will probably have 50 plus. And they go anywhere from 50 to 80. So we've had, hi, Kumari. And since there's a lot of people that registered that I don't know, I was just noticing them coming in. I'm like, oh my gosh. So come over, say hi to Bruce.
Thank you so much for joining us. Hello.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Definitely.
Here they come. Here comes Miriam. I'll just be clicking away before we get talking.
Guys, do me a favor. Give me a minute. I'm going to go grab some coffee
Absolutely.
and make sure I'm ready for all you gorgeous women.
You
God,
betcha.
I
Oh
never
yeah,
had a
you'll
date
have
with
like
50
27 new dates.
Hello.
Hi, Miriam.
Bye. I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, sweetheart. He's gonna get some coffee.
Yes.
Hi, Miriam. How are you?
How are
Gorgeous.
you? I'm good, my darling. How you doing?
Fabulous. Stevenito had his surgery yesterday or Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
He had an ablation for his
Oh my God. And how is he doing?
He's good. He's good. He's now just resting.
Well, send him my love to
I
Esteban.
will. Look at all the gorgeous girls. Oh my God, there's going to be a bunch of people that I don't know, y'all. I just look at all these RSPs and I have no idea who these people are. Like, awesome. And just so you guys know, Miriam and Kumari, Bruce is going to give a free bottle of his cologne, not cologne, but his whiskey to somebody who answers this one question. And I'll wait till we get emotional here.
That's so cool.
I was like, all righty. And then I found out like a bunch of like Patricia Gonzalez knows him. Like people are sending me notes on, oh, Bruce is so nice because he's doing stuff with Paramount right now. So
Very cool.
yeah.
I love his voice.
Apparently the world does too.
Honestly, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only one. I don't really much know who he is because we never seen this type of entertainment in Argentina. So
He'll be telling about it because it's, some of the questions I'll be asking, like how he got into being this voice. And just so you guys know, unbeknownst to me, when I was working for him, I worked for him like 90 years, somewhere in there. He discovered his brother, and that's Michael Buffer, who goes, hey, let's get ready to rumble. Bruce became his manager, and he still is. They found each other through the phone book.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Shelly.
Hi there. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love these stories. It's sometimes like so weird how just through whatever you find out, here comes the ladies. Oh my God. Yay.
Yep.
And it's nice to see us all like getting back to work.
No, I think this whole, I'll save it, but this whole virtual reality that we've all dealt with over the last year plus,
Hi.
we've dealt over the last year plus, my business has gone up. You know what? I'm gonna save it for the talk. 'cause
Okay, yeah. Right? I'm not just gonna be clicking. We'll let like a few minutes of, because I'll just be click, 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 and okay, here they come. These girls are right on time too. Yeah. Ding dong. Make sure somebody takes a picture because we try to snap pictures of who all showed up. Here they come, Laura Carr. See, there's a young Laura's coming. Woohoo! Ding dong. Hi, Mary. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
Hi, Alice. Hi, Beth.
Hi. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Alice. Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Hi, Beth. Proud of you ladies for being early. There they come. Carrie has entered the waiting room. Woohoo. Ding dong. All right. Hi, Mark.
It says Laura Correa, but I'm not Laura Correa.
That's
I
all
thought I
right.
had to be. I thought I had to be a woman to join.
There had to be
No.
one man in the bunch that was gonna break in. I knew it.
No, I love it. I was so excited to see some of the guys that are like that. A lot of the guys that have had your stuff being played in their cinema are excited to see you and talk to you.
Cool.
That's good.
I'm
Yeah.
an equal opportunity motivator. It's all good.
Heck yeah. Feel like
Everybody keeping well?
yeah, surprisingly enough, I mean, Mark, this whole group has been, we've been like each other's support group for a while now, for a year.
It's hard to believe a year. I mean, you talk about Sean and Duncan. I haven't seen them in a year.
Oh, I haven't harassed Duncan in so long, Mark.
Do it. He needs some harassing. Okay.
And Sean hasn't harassed me. Right? Hi, Sally. Hi, Tess. I'm like, oh, hi. So y'all, I'm just going to keep inviting people before I start interviewing Bruce. We'll like maybe a few minutes because there's going to be a lot of people coming and I want to give everyone a chance to, maybe you guys can chat amongst yourselves as I open the room.
How's everybody doing over? I was like, how many Europeans are there? Because things in Europe, both the.
In my mind, I'm in Europe in the south of France right now, so I'll take it.
Oh,
I'm in the south of France every day of
UK.
my life. Yeah, put me on the beach at Cannes or Biarritz, and I'm a happy guy.
Hi,
Oh.
Jim.
I want a house next to
Morning.
at Lake Como. That's my goal.
Okay.
Get on my bike every morning, ride and get my cheese and my fresh bread for breakfast. I would love that. Oof.
I'll be your neighbor in this dream scenario.
Let's all do it.
I know, that sounds wonderful.
Like a wee mansion, a wee bunker.
There you go.
Well,
We chateau.
Hi, Steffi.
I am from Lake Como.
Oh, there we go.
There's always one.
Very cool.
Yes. Yeah, I
Did
was
you
born
believe
there. I was born there, and I lived in Italy, right around there for 22 years until 21 years, and then I came to the U.S. My family's there, so.
That's awesome. I'm Italiano. American
Bene.
Italiano. My grandparents are from Abruzzi.
Uh-huh.
I've been to Europe over 50 times, and I've never been to Italy. It's sad.
No way.
No, I'm waiting
No.
until I fall in love or whatever. I want to go on a romantic vacation. You know, I want to tour the beaches and do the tourism and all that. Probably, I don't know if I'll ever get married, but it'll be like a honeymoon type thing. I've got it all planned out. I'm going to get a yacht, you know, like a captain cruise, start off in the south of France, go to Italy, stop off in Greece. You know, that's my idea of a 2-week. Unbelievable.
I can do that with you. Not a problem.
We're doing a raffle. We're having
I
a raffle.
am not
We ask the
interested in
prices
getting
right, you get a
married,
trip
so
free.
let's do that together. That's fantastic.
You
I
guys,
told you, Bruce, it was going to be dangerous.
I'll
I
carry.
didn't know that.
I can only take two. I can only take two.
Yeah, Italy's here, by the way.
That's Alice in Italy.
Bene.
We got our Europeans representing, which is why I do this at this time, because we can get some of the Europeans as well as the US people. And
Really is. Oh, very cool.
yeah, as a matter of fact, last month we interviewed Patty Jenkins, and Alice is from Italy, and it was just such a wonderful exchange between her, and it was very awesome to hear the conversation about international business. Well, appreciated it.
Yep, I do a lot of that.
Okay, well, I'm going to start going. There, people keep. Oh my God, they're going to just keep coming. But so everybody, this is Bruce Buffer, who is the amazing
Hi.
face and voice of UFC in the Octagon. Woo-hoo! And so here comes Sandy. Oh my God, you guys. So what we're going to do today is we're going to. I'll interview Bruce, find out a little bit about his life, his journey, kind of how he got into this amazing world that he's in. It's a really fun story. And kind of what he's doing now, I don't know. I mean, I follow him on social media, but he's going too fast for me. And then we'll open it up to questions. So if you guys have a question, put it in the chat. And Teresa from TK Architects is going to gather the questions, and she'll randomly choose you to ask Bruce questions. And then all I ask, if you don't mind, if you kind of keep it quick, but when you ask, just say who you are and what you do, because there's a lot of us that we're still liking to know, our members. And then we'll move it throughout the room as quickly as we can so everyone can talk to Bruce. And one other exciting thing is we're going to raffle off his whiskey. So one bottle of his whiskey he will send to the person, and I will ask the question about midway through, or just to see who knows Bruce well and who might know the answer to this question. So first of all, Bruce, could you tell us a little bit about where you were born and tell us about Malibu and how you got into the martial arts?
Sure. I was actually, according to my dad, I was conceived in Las Vegas. I was dropped off in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was there for 9 months, and then we went to Dallas, Texas, where I spent a major part of my life for the next 3 years. Then we moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My dad never graduated high school, but he ran Fortune 500 companies. I think he was borderline genius IQ. He read multiple books a week and educated himself, and instilled a lot of my entrepreneurial spirit, all, if not all of it, in me growing up. But we went to Philadelphia, and I was there for about 6, 7 years. Then we took a job back in Dallas again, went back to Dallas for a couple of years, and then went back to Philly. And I consider Philadelphia my hometown. I'm really happy I had that Southwestern and East Coast upbringing, the mixture of the two. Because then I moved to Malibu, California. And Malibu, California, one day we were going to move to North Carolina. A week before we moved, he goes, "No, I took a job in LA. We're going to move to Malibu, California." And we went out there, and I saw surfing when I was 11 in the south of France, and my dad took me to Europe in a place called Biarritz. And I always said I want to learn how to surf. When I got to Malibu, it was kind of like culture shock. Obviously, I knew Atlantic City, the beaches there. That's nothing compared to California, all respect to Atlantic City. And all I saw was just the sun and the surf and beautiful blonde girls running out of the ocean, which is not a typical sight in Philadelphia. And I'm 15, my hormones are flying like crazy. So all I'm thinking about is learning how to surf and, obviously fulfilling dreams of losing my virginity whenever that would happen or something. But I learned how to surf first. And then I became a lifeguard, and I was the Baywatch mentality. I was Baywatch before the show was ever developed, and went to school out there. And when I was out there, it was a very interesting experience because the movie stars and stuff lived at the beach. We were middle class. We were not rich. And we lived in Trancas Canyon. Yeah. Steve McQueen, if you remember Steve McQueen, the famous actor, he was one of my good friends for the last 6 years of his life. His son's still one of my best friends. And I had all these great experiences, but I met, if you're familiar with a man named Chuck Norris, the martial artist. So I met Chuck Norris's fighting partners, and I started studying Tang Soo Do, which is a Korean style art. And I got a 2nd degree black belt in Tang Soo Do. All I did back then is, of course, educate in school, but all we did was surf, train, and fight. If you ever saw a movie called Point Break with Patrick Swayze, I lived that whole lifestyle. I didn't rob banks. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not wanted for anything, but I definitely knew a lot of Bodhies. I lived that whole style, and it was an incredible upbringing. Incredible. It was tough. A lot of situations happened. But my dad taught me, and my mom taught me, because we went broke as a family a couple times. He quit his job in the Fortune 500 company he was working. And my dad was an accomplished writer of short stories and movie scripts. And he decided to just do what he wanted to do, which was follow his passion. And following his passion, he started writing. And within a year, after quitting with the money he had in the bank, he had his first book published, which was a critically acclaimed book called Skull, Joe Skull. And the next writing technique, he started doing some work in the movie industry, but the money wasn't flowing in as well as it should. And I remember, and I'll tell you a story. This is in my book, my biography. Random published my biography called It's Time. Random House published it about 9 years ago. So I'm not telling you to buy it, but There it is. So, I do have a biography.
Right.
And I tell this story in there that's very important to me. I was 16 or almost 17, and I was invited to go on a ski trip to Mammoth, California. And that ski trip, all I needed was $75 back then. That's all I needed to pay my part of the gas, part of the condo. There's a bunch of us going, and a lift ticket for a day or two, a little bit of food. So I didn't have it because I wasn't working back then. I went to my mom and I said, Mom, can I borrow $75? And she said, son, I can't. I don't have it. Right. A day later, she came up to me and she handed me $75 in cash. And she said, here, you go on your trip. You have a great time. Just please don't tell your father, and it'll all be good. Right. And I wonder why she said that. So I went on the trip. I got back. About 2 weeks later, I wake up about 1 a.m. and I hear my parents talking in the living room. And they're wondering how they're going to pay the rent that month. The rent was only $575, right? I was just floored. My mom just gave me $75 in cash, and I realized why she told me not to tell my dad, because she scrounged that together, okay? And I went back to my room and I teared up and got emotional, and I swore to myself, and I'll tear up right now talking about it because it's such an important story in my life, that I would never, ever borrow money from my parents again. As a matter of fact, I would earn the money to make sure I take care of my parents and they never have anything to worry about. And I started a jewelry business where I would make, when he, she, and turquoise, it was really popular, and coral, I would make red coral and he, she necklaces and bracelets and earrings. And I would take my little thing to school. And what we were doing is we started trading and collecting collectibles, antique weapons and artifacts. We're not hunters, we're collectors. And when dad wasn't making the money, we started going to these gun shows, and he developed a whole business and built one of the biggest collections in the country, and was one of the most well-known people for trading back and forth, and started making really great money at it. And I learned how to sell, or what I call hawk and schmuck and all. When you go to these gun shows, I was 16 years old trading and selling German Lugers across tables and doing all this. And I saw this jewelry table over there with all these supplies, and the guy was selling, and I was really attracted to it. And that's how I started the jewelry business. So I started clearing in 1974, let's say, like $800 to $1,000 a month, which is a lot of money back then. And I was taking my girlfriends out on nice dates, and we were able to go on little trips, and I made good money. But I spent every bit of it having a great time. But that taught me my entrepreneurial spirit. And like I said, we went broke as a family a couple of times. We got out of that situation, but we stuck together. I have really fantastic parents. My dad passed away 12 years ago. My mom is 92. She just survived COVID. She's my rock. And I think it's really important to have that family base, where we come from, or at least that upbringing. But that instilled the entrepreneurial spirit I had in me. And I think I'm getting a little off base, but that's where everything started to come from. Then I went to school in college, and I went to Santa Monica College studying business. And I saw a job cardboard, a 3x5 cardboard on the job board, and it said earn $250 to $450 a week selling over the telephone, right? Well, I have a gift for gab, obviously it's what happened in the end. And I went in and I applied for the job, and they said, okay, you got it. Start at 5 o'clock. I said 5 in the afternoon. They go, no, 5 in the morning. So now I'm getting up at 4 in the morning in Malibu. I'm driving to Santa Monica. We're selling office supplies. And back then, I walked in, I saw salesmen making, $400 or $500 a week, all this. I became the #1 salesman in 2 weeks, making like $800 a week or whatever. Then I saw the sales manager sitting back with his feet on the desk, just making like $1,500, a couple thousand a week, which is huge money back then. I go, I want his job. So I became the sales manager of this company within 2 months. And then now I'm 19, and I'm realizing the owners are driving Ferraris and Porsches. And Heather, you had a taste of this. You saw the business back then.
Yeah.
And I decided to start my own business. So I started my own business with a partner. 80% of the telemarketing force they had left to work for me because I was motivating them to do their sales, and I'm a closer. I was making them a lot of money. When they came to work for me, I thought, oh, this is great. The business is going great. And we started out like gangbusters. And then I got served. I got served with $1 million lawsuit. So the people I work for sued me for $1 million, right? And it was a bogus lawsuit, but I'm young. I didn't know how to deal with it. I never had that kind of experience. It was the worst summer of my life.
Wow.
So long story cut short, I went back to them. They paid all my attorney bills. They just wanted me to come back to work for them. I went back to work for them for more money. They made me partner in the company, and it all came positive. I wound up making more money than ever. So Just kept moving in the telemarketing industry, which I stayed in for a number of years. And then if you ever saw The Wolf of Wall Street, okay, well, I wasn't doing what he did. He was the Wolf of Wall Street, cheating people, cheating elderly, families out of their money, their savings. I sold office supplies, which Heather, you had a taste of.
I worked for him when he's selling office supplies, using the phone book, using the
Right.
old pages. That's right.
But the pitch we did was legal. The pitch I was doing back then, I didn't realize had a little illegal side to it, because we would call up people and say, one of our accounts in your area is using the same copier as you. They've changed copiers. We just sent them a fresh order of toner. There's 4 boxes there. Rather than ship it all the way back, we want to give it to you at substantial savings. And we did. We gave it to them for savings back then. I wound up finding out that that was called an illegal pitch, and companies were getting closed down for those kind of pitches. So it kind of freaked me out, and I got out of the telemarketing industry, even though I was making such great money. And I went into import-export business. I had an alarm company putting camera systems and alarm systems in homes all across LA, all over Santa Monica. It was very successful. I started trading in the gun collectible area. And what happened was I had an opportunity to go back in the telemarketing industry. And I said, if I do, I'm going to do it right and do it legal. And that's when you worked for me, Heather, back then when we had those huge
My
offices.
information center.
Well, exactly. And I had over 100 people working for me, and everything was great, but I was getting burned out. Okay. Even though I'm waking up in the morning, I've got a beach house here in the marina. I'm living the life of Riley. It's kind of like Charlie Sheen and 2.5 Men minus the alcoholism. I'm having a great time. I'm living a great life. So I'm watching TV. I've been a boxing fan forever. Okay. Right out of the womb, my dad had me watching boxing. He taught me fighting techniques. He was a Marine for 13 years. He taught me the tough side of life. I'm very much in tune with fighting and boxing and everything. Out comes this very debonair, handsome man with the James Bond, type allure to him, the tuxedo, the magnificent voice, introducing the fighters and saying that famous phrase, let's get ready to rumble. Okay. Now I'm watching TV, and on the TV, they flash his name and it says Michael Buffer. And I'm like, what? Who's this? Right. We did not have the internet back when Heather and I were doing telemarketing. And Heather, you might've done it yourself, but I would look in every phone book in the United States to think, is anybody named Buffer? I saw every phone book in the United States. I never saw the name Buffer anywhere. Right. So now I'm like, wait a minute, this is a little too weird. This man's really kind of pretty. I'm not pretty. I mean, could he be my brother? Could he be this? Could he what? So I started calling Don King's offices, Bob Arum's offices. And now after about 6 months, when Tyson got boxing really big again, and Michael was growing at the boxers and becoming even more famous in the boxers, people were coming up to me saying, is that your brother? The guy that goes, let's get ready to rumble. And I'm like, no, my brother's Brian, who I grew up with. Right. Yeah. And this just kept happening and happening. So now I'm driving up north with my dad one day, and I'm telling my dad everything I just told you. And I said, and I'm like, Dad, do you have any idea who this guy is? Right. This is what I get. I think that's your brother. Right. I'm 28 years old, and my dad's telling me that I have a brother. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's just me, you and Mom and Brian and I. I go, son, I never told you. During World War II, I was 20. I was married very briefly for 9 months. A child was born while I was overseas. Divorce ensued when I got back. The last time I saw the child was when he was 2.5. And it's just one of those things that happened. He'd send money off to a PO box. Well, lo and behold, Michael's mother passed away when he was 6, but before she did, she put him up with a foster family named Huber. Michael was raised under the name of Michael Huber. Okay. And he was raised by fantastic parents. He had a great upbringing, and for him. And so when he went in the Army at 20, they said, you're not Michael Huber. Your birth certificate says Buffer. You're Michael Buffer. Boom. Had that not happened, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today, because I'd just be looking at an announcer that I'd be enamored and a fan of named Michael Buffer. Well, about 6 months later, he's in LA doing a show, and my brother and I egged my dad on to call the arena and leave a message for him. And Michael called him back. They got together, and it turned out to be his son. Michael, that was his son. That's how they first met. Then we got together about, a week later, had dinner, and I'll never forget that night. It was pretty amazing. So now I'm burned out on the business. I'm making incredible money, but I'm burned out, and I'm all about passion. And that's one thing I want to emphasize today on this meeting, is that I live my life by passion. And it's not just passion for, a girlfriend and fun times. It's passion for life. It's passion for when I work. when I do my jobs and when I work now, I wake up in the morning and live my life by design. I don't go to work. I live my life by design. And that to me is a lifestyle. And that's where passionate approach towards business, whether we work for somebody else or not, then I feel it's a way of life. And I didn't have that in the business I was in. So I used to go to these events with Michael and I'd watch him do the boxing and I'd go out afterwards. And finally, in 1992, November 16, 1992, and there was a fight between Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield at the Thomas Mack Center in Vegas, sold out. I watched everybody going crazy. Hulk Hogan, Jack Nicholson, all these celebrities. My brother did his Let's Get Ready to Rumble, and I had an epiphany. I went back to my hotel room. I didn't go out to dinner. I didn't go party. I didn't go play the way you like to do in Vegas. And I was like out of a movie. I couldn't stop writing like 3 pages of notes, trademark these 5 words of air properly, put them in the football fields, the basketball courts, hockey arenas, every form of sports and entertainment, make toys and video games. Let's get ready to rumble, da 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 da, all this type stuff. So I met with Michael like a week later and I told him what happened. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, Michael, look, I want to sell my 2 companies that I had at the time. I'll quit with the money I have in the bank, just like my dad did, if you remember that story. And I want to make you more richer and more famous than you ever dreamed, and hopefully myself in the process. And I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And he's like, how are you going to do all this? I said, I don't know. I really don't. But if I'm going to give all this up, I'm going to figure it out. So I started traveling the country, going to trade shows. I go to Kinko's and make these promo kits of Michael that cost me $15 each. You know, this is before we had all the easy stuff we have today to make this stuff. I go with a bunch of them under my arm. I'd hit every booth. I'd shake hands. You need Michael Buffer. You need to call this Let's Get Ready to Rumble. You need to advertise like this. Well, all the deaf ears it fell on, it's like Zig Ziglar says, get 10 no's till you get the yes. And I was going for the 10 no's until I would get the yes. Finally, within a year, I had the very first product made. It was a talking keychain. It was a little boxing glove that you press a button and say, let's get ready to rumble. Then I had the mug, say, let's get ready to rumble. You watch football, you drink, you hit the button, you drive your family crazy as you keep hitting the button, whatever the case might be. Things started to come together. Then I started booking for Michael for different events. Then we came out with the Ready to Rumble video game in 1999. This was my big hit. And we sold roughly about $100 million in video games. And it just started to take off from there. So up to date, the ventures, the licenses, everything, I helped build with Michael, the Let's Get Ready to Rumble into a $500 million brand and growing. And with that being said, then I realized my ability to brand and to market and to have the foresight to see what works and to go for it, you know, and when I go for it, I go for it. I have a theory that I work by and live by, and it's a 3-foot theory. I want everybody around me to be healthy, happy, and prosperous. And that's the people I'm friends with, the people I work with, the teams I work with, and then I know it'll all come back to me. So that's the way I work. I will not stop working that way. It's just my theory of work. Heather, it's like when we worked together and I would try so hard to help all the salespeople in there who weren't great at selling, closing their sales to make the money so they can go home and have wonderful weekends and take care of their family. That was the same attitude I had back then. Even though I was tough, even though I was a tough boss at times, but my integrity and my honesty, I treat everybody with respect. I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I don't like the word celebrity, quite frankly. I like it because I don't stand in line in Vegas, but you know, I think we're all created equal. I'll be better than others because of how I perform in life. And I'm only good as my performance today. So that all took off, and I wanted to be an announcer back then. And we agreed that I would not announce boxing because Michael said, there's no money in it. I'm the only one making, you know, the money to live by. And I'm working my butt off doing over 100 events a year, maybe making 150 grand a year. When people saw him on TV, they thought, you know, you're making millions. Well, that wasn't the case back then. Is it since then? Yeah, my brother's set for 5-10 lifetimes. It's gone great, but it was work, and we approached it as such. And then there was a show that came on pay-per-view that blew everybody away. It was a spectacle. It scared people. It attracted people. It fascinated people, and it was called the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC. And it came on in 1993. Now, I have 3 black belts. I've fought a lot, various styles, had my share of street fights, beach fights, everything. You know, a lot of men can claim that as well as some women. It's just part of growing up. But fighting is in my DNA. It's like Dana White, the owner of the UFC, says. If there's a tennis match on one corner, a baseball game on the other corner, a hockey game on the other corner, and a fight breaks out on the fourth corner, everybody goes to watch the fight. And women and men included. It's in our DNA. So watching this, it's brutal. I'm familiar with the style of fighting, but I thought, wow, this is going to be huge. So I, as my brother's manager and partner, my job is to get him in every major event that was happening. So I got Michael into the UFC, and I got him in to do UFC 6, 7, and Ultimate. It was 3 events. In the first event, they asked him to come out and say, if it's not in the octagon, it's not real. Well, I knew because of a big, huge contract, his most lucrative contract was with WCW Wrestling, which if you remember back in those days, it was Hulk Hogan and Sting and Goldberg, and it was the biggest thing on TV at the time, and still is big today in the WWE. They called me on Monday and they said, Bruce, what are you doing? Why are you having to do this event? I said, he's allowed to per the contract. He goes, we're not happy. You got to make a choice. I go, no, I don't have to make a choice. The contract says he can do it. I scheduled him for 3 shows. He'll do 3. I'll pull him from there because your contract, we love working with you, but don't tell me that I can't have him do the 3. Then we have a problem. So they agreed to that, had him do the 3 shows. That's over. Now I call the UFC. I call the owner, Robert Meyerowitz. I said, Robert, you need a buffer announcing your fighters in the octagon. You need me. I have the media contacts to help you build this brand. I know how to build brands. I know how to do marketing. I'll work with you. I'll be much more than an announcer. I think this is going to be the biggest thing in fighting sports. And it fell on deaf ears. Nothing happened. So I thought, how can I do this? So I got a videotape from a fighter in Minnesota named Scott the Pitbull Ferrazzo, just a 6'1", like Neanderthal guy, arms down to his ankles, 340 pounds, the kind of fighter they loved back then. I got him into a show. We went down to Bayamon, Puerto Rico, February 16th, 1996, which just celebrated my 25th year anniversary of being the announcer in the UFC. And when I got him down there, I told the owner, I said, listen, I packed my tuxedo in my bag. Let me announce the prelims and show you what I got. Well, he let me announce the prelims, went back home, thought I did a good job. Not when I watch it now, I got to cover my ears. But I called the offices thinking I'm going to get hired. Nope, they didn't hire me. 6 months go by. I'm flying to New York. I'm asking for the job. I believe in life, when you want something, you've got to ask for the job. You got to ask for it. Don't wait for things to happen, make them happen. And that's another thing that I go after. So they called me one day. They said, look, the announcer, his uncle passed away. He's got to go to a funeral. We need you in Dothan, Alabama in 2 days. You can announce the entire UFC 10 show. I'm in the hospital with my mother. She just had a serious operation. It's the next day. She's cut up in her abdomen for what she had to have done. And it's very serious. And I'm sitting there with her. My mother's everything to me. And I get a phone call while I'm in the room. Now envision, I'm sure all of you have seen Rocky, the movie Rocky. And you know, when in the Rocky 2, when his wife is pregnant, she doesn't want him to fight. She has a little accident. She's in a coma. She's in the hospital room. Rocky can't train. He's sitting beside her on the bed, waiting for her to wake up. She wakes up and she says, you know, win, you got to win, gives him a thumbs up. So I got this phone call. They asked me to go to Alabama. My mother overheard the phone call. I said, listen, guys, I gotta call you back. Okay. I hang up the phone. My mother looks at me. She says, is that the call you've been waiting for? And I said, yes, Mom. And she says, go. She put her finger in the air, it would crack me up. Go, you've got to go. I went, right? With my mother's blessing, the whole bit, did the show, came back, thought I did a good job, thought they're going to hire me. Nope, they hire somebody else. A friend of the producer. Has a good voice, nervous in the service. I watch him on TV, saying names wrong, gave me all the fodder to call him back, say, what are you doing, guys? Stop screwing around. So now another 6 months go by. Long story cut short, I get a phone call. Hey, we're doing a show called Friends on NBC. They're making a TV show called The Ultimate Fighting Champion. Warner Brothers would like to send somebody down to pick up audio and video of you because they want the real announcer, and they saw you on TV, and they'll get back to you. So they came down, picked it up. They called me up, said, can you be on the set at 6 in the morning, rehearse all day with the cast of Friends, film on Wednesday? Of course, I grabbed it. And you're going to co-star as yourself, as Bruce Buffer, right? Which only a few people have co-starred as themselves on Friends. Again, give me more fodder to call the owner. So I call the owner. I say, look, Robert, meet me for lunch tomorrow. I know you're on the set. So we meet. I look at him. I said, Robert, this is the biggest comedy on TV. I'm co-starring as myself. I've been after you for a year and a half asking for this job. I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to the high school prom and nobody's asking me. I'm going to ask you one more time, and that's it. I want this job, and I'll do more to build this brand with you than just be your Octagon announcer. I'm a big poker player. I play all the pros. I played on all the TV shows except for high stakes poker. This was the best poker hand I ever played in my life. We made a deal. I got the job. I announced every UFC for the next 18 years. Even one time being in New Jersey, finishing a show, having to be in Belo Horizonte in Brazil. 18 hours later, do a second show. We're figuring how they're going to get me down there. We leave the arena in New Jersey with our bags, run to Dana White's private jet, flies me down to Belo Horizonte. 16 hours later, I'm in a brand new tuxedo. I do 2 UFCs in 2 countries in 2 hemispheres in 24 hours. Rock star, almost famous moment. It was so awesome, but I couldn't keep up that pace. So now I do, out of the 42, I do about 34 shows a year. I travel all over the world. It is kind of like being like James Bond, put a tuxedo in a bag, get my instructions, go do the work, find a casino, have some fun, come home. It's a lot of work. It's an incredible lifestyle. And of course, it's all changed with COVID, but we were the first sport to come back and show the world how to have sports events with COVID bubbles and safety. And last year during COVID, the UFC had its second biggest year ever. 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, it sold for $4.2 billion. It was the highest selling price for a sports franchise in America to date, setting a record. So this is what I mean. I saw something that's going to be the biggest thing. I stuck with it through the lean hard times, losing money, going away on weekends. I didn't care. I knew it was going to come together. Okay. And that's it. And then I created my own trademark. I never had a phrase when I worked like, let's get ready to rumble. Every announcer thinks they got to do, let's get this, let's get this. I wake up every day looking in the mirror before I shave and I go, it's time. And I used to always do this, like, it's time to have the best day possible, to be the best I can be. So I started incorporating it's time into the main event, which now it's not how I say it, it's the way I say it. And it's trademarked. And now the It's Time brand is probably going to do bigger than Let's Get Ready to Rumble. I have products that I represent, that I come out with, and the estimated sales for next year on some key products, which we'll go into, that I'm coming out with, it's going to blow people away. And I'll go into that as we go further. I'll keep that a little secret right now. So I hope I answer your question, but that's basically the transition. And I work in every aspect of sports and entertainment. The deals I make for Michael as his manager and as a manager of myself, I don't like agents. I have agents out there with the biggest agencies that'll bring me jobs, but I will not let them control my career. If they don't have the passion to control my career, they won't be able to sell me or my trademark or my brand the way I can. And I'm one of those people that can work in front of the camera, behind the camera. I just like to work. I wake up every day to close a sale, and nobody knows that better than Heather, because she knew me so long ago and how tenacious I am. But I have integrity, and I like to have fun, and I like to make people smile. And that's where I'm at. So I hope I didn't talk too much, guys. I'm not talking off the cuff here.
Well, so Bruce, it's so lovely that you shared so much of this, because one of the things that I like to do, I mean, all of our group, these ladies and some wonderful gentlemen who have embraced us, we're all going through transition. The cinema business has really suffered, or exhibition, because we cover the cinema exhibitors, we cover the studios, and all the service providers. So we're a nice collection of business people. And then we even inviting people that are sort of a little bit outside, that are embracing our industry, like esports and now fighting. And when I originally asked you to join us, it was just because I think you're absolutely darling and a friend that's exciting. And I just wanted to reach out to you, unbeknownst to me, that we would start playing your type of sporting in the cinemas. So a couple of people that are with us today, Christina Warner, and I know Mark Walikevich, they've embraced bringing your wonderful sports to cinema. So I was hoping I could get a couple seconds to maybe talk to them about how they reached out to UFC, how it's doing in the cinema, because it's wonderful to know that this type of entertainment is not only being shown, but it's doing really well. So I don't know which of you want to talk first, but maybe Christina, can you tell us about how you reached to UFC, and then how it's been working for you, and where do you see this growing from here?
Well, thank you. That's so nice of you. Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Christina.
Yeah, it's very exciting. In December, we decided to, I work with Iconic Events, in case some of you don't know, and I've met a lot of you, and I'm also working with Laura and Beth, and Shelly, and I hope I don't miss anyone. But we decided to create a permanent live network. So in the past, live has kind of come and gone. And it's really been based on the fact that content hasn't been consistent. And so what we did is we reached out to the UFC, Zuffa, and we told them that we were going to be creating this live network that was permanently enabled, and would they help us with content so that we could keep the momentum going. And they were gracious enough to work with us on a contract, and we now have secured it for the entire year. It's one event, mainly one event every month on a Saturday night at 7 p.m. And we, right at 7 o'clock, we go live. We've grown from 15 theaters now to this next event on April 24th. We'll be at 140 locations. And we work with every single regional circuit out there. It's been really fantastic. And and it's actually grossing really well. And the attendance is building as the COVID capacities, are changing. So, and this April 24th is a very stacked fight with 3 title weight fights. So it's going to be huge. And my question to you is, Bruce, how well do you get to know the fighters? Do you become friends with them and have ongoing relationships, or is it just kind of over once the fight's done?
No, I'm kind of like Uncle Bruce,
Okay.
to the fighters. I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm an uncle, and I have created many. And by the way, congratulations on all that. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
I remember when I forget the gentleman's name, but they handled all the bar sales, and all the type thing. But now that ESPN's come in the picture and given the UFC billions for, the pay-per-view rights and all of that, I'm happy to see it's almost like you're doing the closed circuit, what used to be called closed circuit. So I think it's really fantastic, and congratulations. If you ever need me to promote anything like that, the UFC doesn't control that. You can always come to me direct. I'll be happy to work with you in promotion if you want to.
No, that would be amazing. We'll definitely reach out. Thank you very much for the time.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. But getting back to the question, I've created some amazing relationships, just whether it's Randy Couture, George St. Pierre, Chuck Liddell, Conor McGregor, even though I got mad at Conor when he went from being the great role model to being the bit of a-hole he was for quite a while. And I made no bones about speaking publicly about that on TMZ or whatever. I don't care what Conor thought. It's like, I believe we all have a responsibility to be role models because of the young kids that are watching, and there's no room for that kind of behavior. But hopefully he's learned, because his last outing, he was so respectful, and it was a Conor that I love, and it's a great story, and we all have a right to redeem ourselves. But I sit with fighters and I talk to them about how to handle themselves outside of the octagon, because to be a good role model, to be the greatest that you can be, is not just about your fighting ability inside the octagon. It's how you handle yourself outside, walking in, and think beyond your guns for retirement. So I try to give as much time to the fighters, and it's amazing. It's like Boy Scouts go to camp. Boy and Girl Scouts go to camp every time we have a show weekend. You see the same people you travel all over the world with. These fighters have such amazing backstories and stories themselves, and some highly educated that are in there fighting. It's a fascinating realm of diversity. And it's one of the things that keeps me going, because if I didn't have that kind of experience being 25 years in this business, if I can't go in that octagon every night and treat it like my very first night, meeting these new fighters, feeling I have to do the best I can do and prove myself that night to Dana White, the owners, to the fans such as yourself, and to the fighters that I deserve this job, I take that attitude. I go in Saturday night this week, it'll be my first show. I go in next Saturday, it's going to be my first show. This is the attitude I maintain and the passion I hold. So yes, great relationship with fighters, great group of people. The female fighters, amazing. I definitely would not want to fight any of these girls. I'll tell you that much. These are supermen and super women. And when the women fight, man, they throw it all on the line. Probably sometimes the most exciting fights in the night, without question.
Teresa, why don't you step in?
Thanks so much, Bruce.
You're welcome.
I wanted to thank you for your time today, but then also throw the trivia question out to the group and let them think on that. So the trivia question is, what event did Bruce do the 360 at? Before we get into the questions, can we get your catchphrase?
Bruce.
Can you what?
Can we get your catchphrase?
Oh, sure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the championship of the world. Good morning.
Hey, that's awesome. We're going to pass it around the room a little bit, but we're going to start off with Rebecca Pelly from Box Office.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks so much for your time. It's been really inspiring listening to you. And I'm a big, I love action movies, martial arts, fighting movies. I know you mentioned your friendship with Chuck Norris earlier, and I see your great Dr. No poster there. I was wondering, who are some of your favorite, fighters on screen? Some of your favorite action movies? Like, who do you see and you're like, that person really, either now or like, people in the 60s and the golden age of fighting movies.
Oh, sure. Thank you. It's a good question. You go back, Bruce Lee obviously was a big emphasis on me, getting me into the martial arts, especially with Enter the Dragon. My friendship with Steve McQueen, Bruce used to come out and train him at his house before I met Steve. And afterwards, Chuck Norris used to come out and train him. Chuck Norris, of course, a big emphasis. A friend of mine for many years, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you may know, used to love to watch Jean-Claude's movies. And John's a good friend of mine too. He's a great guy. Been through some turmoil in his life and definitely come out on top. Steven Seagal, I used to love to watch his movies too, although Aikido is not the greatest street fighting technique, but I would not want to screw around or try to fight Steven Seagal. He's a big, powerful man. Had dinner with him in where was I? In Argentina. We were doing a TV commercial together. It was pretty Buenos Aires. We were in Buenos Aires. So remember, it was a fun evening having dinner with Steven Seagal. He's definitely got an ego. There's no question, but it was a lot of fun. So now that when the UFC came around and you see the fighting technique they do there, you realize that in movies, it's movie fighting. If you understand real fighting, there's real fights and there's movie fights, and the UFC brought reality to it. So in today's world, the John Wick movies with Keanu Reeves, I love the martial arts and I love the way that works, and watching him and Halle Berry, who I know also, and she really puts her all in every movie. As a matter of fact, she's coming out in a film where she plays, if I'm not mistaken, it's either a mother who becomes a mixed martial artist to take care of her family, but it was one of those storylines, and she's with the UFC champion Valentina Shevchenko in the film. And Halle was telling me how she's been training really hard for it, and that's coming out, I think, in a few months. But if you watch them work in the movie and John Wick, love that stuff. Really, really cool. There's so many good action films that come out, and there's ones that I look at, I'm like, okay, it's the movies. What can you do? Dramatic license adds a lot to film. But I've been an action hero and lover, and whether male or female, my whole life. I mean, James Bond, of course, #1. Go back to my early days, John Wayne. It's amazing how it's all developed to now. It's just so fast, and there's just so much, and it's going to get more so. So I'm a film buff. My whole house is like, this poster is the original French Dr. No poster. My whole house is decorated with vintage movie posters from the 50s, 60s, 40s, and 30s, because the artwork is phenomenal. I have a 7-foot It's a Wonderful Life poster up there that's one of less than 10 known, that if I ever lose everything I have, all the money I have, I'll be homeless on the street with that under my arm, because that's going nowhere.
Let's jump to Mario. You had such a great response to his talk about Argentina. I want to let you talk to Bruce.
Say about what again, please?
No, because I'm Argentinian, so of course, whenever you say Argentinian, I jump out of emotion.
You're full of passion like Brazilians. You jump all day long.
You're
here at 12 at night. It's a different world when I travel to Brazil and Argentina.
Yes,
definitely.
We love that. But I also worked in, I was very lucky all my life. I worked in Southeast Asia, and was very lucky to meet a lot of people with, that they made great movies, great martial art movies. And I think that, I don't know if you ever watched it, if you ever saw it, but if you ever had a chance to watch it, please watch The Raid, which is an Indonesian movie.
Saw it. Fantastic.
And I was like, whoa, I never seen anything like it until then. And then I think after that, when American managed to watch that movie, then all these John Wicks and other movies started to appear to make it more realistic and raw.
No, absolutely. That movie,
made-
which they did the sequel on too.
Yes.
But you know, there's a lot of films like Akira Kurosawa in Japan, the Japanese director, movies you're mentioning, and American people that grab onto it,
Yes.
just like English TV shows that come here. And we're not necessarily the originators, but we might be the innovators, you know?
It's true. It's true. Thank you so much, Bruce. It's amazing. Your story is amazing and it has moved me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Let's jump to Kelly.
Hi, Bruce. I'm Kelly Kenyon Tricarico. I own a theater cinema company called Cinema Pro. I do construction, and thank you so much for sharing so much of your life and your manifesto and everything. It is really just brightened my day. What interested me is that not only I am a second degree Dan in Taekwondo, but also a firearms collector. And you were mentioning the firearms, and I was wondering, do you still collect? And if you do, what is your most exotic or favorite firearm?
Yes, I do still collect, definitely. And as far as I used to put on it, I think I mentioned this, but I actually put on collectors gun shows and artifact shows in Las Vegas at the Riviera Hotel, which has now been imploded. That's where they filmed the movie Casino. My dad used to take me there. He was a boss gambler back in the days when the mob ran the town during the casino days. And I grew up living that lifestyle too, gambling when I was 18, talking to the pit bosses and, you know, getting first row tickets to Barbra Streisand. Just as my dad said, hey, my sons want to see a show, and boom, we're sitting first row for Elvis Presley. A whole different world back then. But getting back to what you're saying is, yes, it is one of the best areas of investment is antique weaponry and now sports collectibles and the whole NFT things that's happening now. We had most every German Luger, which is one of the most expensive weapons around. I have some very expensive German Lugers, which there's a 120 different variations of, but I have single six weapons from the Western days, and they're worth, you know, anywhere from thousands to tens of thousands of dollars. It's phenomenal. I've had $1 million weapons go through my hands when we were, you know, having these gun shows. It's phenomenal how much money is in that business. Very, very big. I'm not a hunter. I can't shoot Bambi, but I can definitely shoot somebody coming through my window to hurt me for sure.
Let's jump to Mark. I know you were on early when we got going. Are you still here?
Mark Olakevich, you still here?
All right, let's jump to Kim Cook Serrano. Oh, and we have an answer for our question, so we'll get to that.
Hi, thank you so much for being with us. I'm a huge fan of MMA, UFC. A lot of time with Tough Enough, get to see a lot of live fights here in Las Vegas with them. So thank you so much for being here. It's really exciting. My theater chain has got UFC running on the weekends as well right now, so we're really excited to have it.
I know Tough Enough. I announced the Tough Enough years ago. I know the one owner died and his brother's still working. Yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah, they really are. They're very warm, fantastic. Their booker is great, and they're just always fun, you know, because all these fighters are trying to get there. So it's really great to watch them. They've got all this passion, like you. So you talked about some of these great products that you've come out with in marketing. I love the glove, and you know, I know Puncher's Chance is out there now. Do you have a favorite? Is there something that you just absolutely are the most proud to have created throughout all of your time?
You mean of the products I have coming out?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I'll show you. Puncher's Chance is actually very, very close to me. And the whole thing behind Puncher's Chance is one punch can change your life. The right decision, the fork in the road, you know, we all have been through this at similar points. I met my partners. Bourbon's my favorite spirit to drink. I'm not a big drinker, but I enjoy bourbon. And this received a 95% taste rating from the tasting board. It's the highest rated bourbon in its price point in America today. We started selling this in September. In the first 3 months, we moved 10,000 cases, where the average craft distributor moves 3,800 cases in the first year. We're on target to move 35,000 plus cases this year. We're in about 25 states. We're being picked up by all the BevMo stores, Smart and Final, chains. It's really selling like hotcakes. The packaging is amazing. My partner, Umberto, he did the design and the marketing for Sammy Hagar's Cabo Wabo tequila, which you may have heard of, that sold for, 100 million or more. Skinny Girl, I'm sure you've heard of Skinny Girl, and Campari. So I have very fine partners. When I get involved, if their passion meets my passion and the product works, then I'm in. I turn down deals. And luckily I'm in a position now where I can. I want to do the right thing for my brand, first class all the way. And just very excited about this and where it's going to go. You probably heard Diageo paid Clooney and for Casamigos, close to $1 billion for their brand. Ryan Reynolds just sold his gin company for 600 million. He only sold 125,000 12-bottle cases, and they paid him $600 million for his company, right?
Well, and it's I've been lucky enough to try it. It's a fantastic product.
Oh, thank you. Very cool. And it mixes really well. I know women love it because the caramel and the vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has that soft finish.
And it mixes really well. So that's a very passionate product for me. In 2 months, I'm coming out with my own line of toiletries, which is going to be body wash, face wash, moisturizer. I've done commercials for Manscaped, that product and stuff like that. I was metrosexual in my 20s before the word was ever put out. I was getting facials and taking care of myself because I always believed that, if the girls are taking care of themselves for me, why can't I take care of myself for the girls as well as for myself, right? I mean, grooming is grooming. So I've always been into, facial care. I'm going to be 64 in May. I've never done anything to myself. I'm an athlete, I can still run around and keep up with 30-year-olds, the whole bit. It's just something I've always been in tune with. So I want to just, show the lifestyle of taking care of yourself. So I created the It's Time cologne. This is going to be released in 2 months all over the world. It's going to be in the duty-free shops in the airports. You'll see pictures of me next to like McConaughey over there and Julia Roberts over there hawking their products. And I'll probably fall on the floor laughing my butt off. Okay. This is like going to crack me up. But the pre-sales and everything, and again, it's not just in America, all over the world. My company that does this is one of the biggest companies out of the UK. They distribute a product called Brut. For those of you who have heard of Brut products, B-R-U-T, they do those all over the world. They distribute Sarah Jessica Parker's perfume, which, believe it or not, still does 85 million a year in sales, right? So it's all about the scent, and the scent is amazing. It's one of those ones that women like to wear. We found testing in men. So I'm very excited about this, very high end. We're going to do, this will sell for over $60, and we'll have the half size bottle that'll sell for like 30. So that's great. And then this is where a lot of my passion right here, like Puncher's Chance. These are my 2 favorite products, but I'm also coming out with my own line of energy products, which is, I'm going up against Monster and Red Bull with the canned product, the shots, little shots, the 5-hour energy type shots, and the bars. The difference is I don't want to sell crap. Okay. I don't like these products that have taurine in them, which is not good for you. And probably the FDA could ban it any day that we talk. So my chemical labs and everything in the company that I'm involved with has put together an incredible formula, natural formula. Yeah, there's some guarana in it, which is a natural caffeine plant from Brazil, but it's all with natural products, to the point that one of the agencies that we're going to have put a stamp of approval on it is one that says athletes can drink it. So I'm making a product that athletes and fighters can drink while training and not be red flagged by the agencies like USADA that test them for steroids and drugs and all that. So I'm thinking ahead, and that will come out in 3 months. And we've already been told that the pre-sales in Europe and elsewhere, they estimate for 2 of the products between 80 and $130 million in sales in 2022. So I'm working on all that right now too. That's a passionate project also. Like I said, little passion involved in everything. It keeps me going. You got to have passion, because you're going to get knocked down in business. You're going to hit the canvas. You got to get up. And it's like Rocky said, when you get knocked down, you got to get up, move forward, and punch harder than ever. So for that, you better believe in yourself, and you better believe in your product, and you better be a product of the products. I try to be a product of the product. Very important.
Thanks. Let's jump to Melissa Boudreau.
Hey, thanks so much, Bruce. What an incredible chat. This has been so inspiring. Heather's putting me on the spot because I was texting her secretly in the background, and I'm a crazy, like, introverted, not a sales pitch type person. She's like, oh, you're going to talk. So Heather has been helping us work on this big initiative called Cinema Week. It's only for North America. So sorry for everybody who's outside of North America. Hopefully it'll be global next year. But we're really, I know, I'm sorry, Miriam. We're really trying to get people to come back to the cinema. So we came up with this idea like 8 months ago. There's no week for Cinema Week, right? There's Shark Week, there's Restaurant Week, there's everything week. So a very small team of us have been pro bono working on this, and we would love if you would make a quick video with your amazing It's Time for Cinema Week.
Now, the thing is on this, and I'd love to, but is it the type of thing you're going to use for promotion and to promote the event?
We could use it however you felt comfortable using it.
Okay, this is one thing that I have to do per business.
Yes.
But I will take care of you. Understand that, okay? But it's a business thing. So
Okay.
here, please email my office.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll give you the email.
Yeah, Heather, do you have it?
Yeah.
I'll give it to you now. I'll be happy to.
Okay.
If any of you have any business things to talk about, and also too at my website at brucebuffer.com, you can check it out. I do audios and videos. This has increased my business substantially, about 300% over the last year, because we've all gone virtual. I have a green screen studio. I can do videos and audios, championship introductions. I do weddings, birth of babies, you name it, coming out now, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I do everything for businesses. I get requests, even from churches, do you name it, I do it. So write me at info at brucebuffer.com. Okay. Which will go to myself and will go to my partner, Kristen, who will reply, if not myself. If any of you have any requests for videos or business things like we're talking about right now, write my office and we'll, give me as much detail, the script, how you plan to use it, where, and for how long. And then we'll get back to you and we'll work it out. And make sure you say you're with this meeting we had today, and I'll make sure and give special pricing to everybody.
Thank you, Bruce.
I appreciate that, and I will. I'm sorry if I'm not doing freebies. I learned a long time the mistake about that. But again, you never know when that could happen either. So just write me, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just appreciate it. And honestly, just really appreciate everything that you've said. It's been extremely just humbling and motivating. So thank you for sharing with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate your kind words.
Let's jump to Jim. I know he said he has the answer to the trivia question.
Good morning from Canada.
Oh, it's done. He's got it. He's from Canada. I know it. He's got it. I knew it.
I loved hearing your story. It was inspiring. Loved hearing your all of your connections over the years of all the amazing fighters. One of my favorite fighting movies I've recently watched is called Ip Man. Have you seen that one?
Which one?
IP Man, Ip Man.
Oh, IP Man with Will.
With Donnie
Yen.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that one.
So that is about Bruce. That is about Bruce Lee's Master, and it's a great Chinese series. And the fighting series, our sequences there are awesome. So that you might want to add that to your list.
IP Man, like
1, 2, 3.
Indian Paul. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Ip Man.
Yes.
Oh, IT.
No,
IP.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. Loved my ears perked up when you said Elvis. I'm a huge Elvis fan. I would love to hear more about that. The answer to the question is UFC 100.
Yes.
Great.
Exactly. Heather, send me his name and address and I'll have my company. Oh, wait, you're in Canada.
Yeah.
Can't ship bottles to Canada. I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
Can't. Yeah, they won't allow us to ship alcohol across the border.
What if you shipped it to my PO box in Blaine, Washington, and then when the border opens, I can go pick it up?
That's fine. Just give me a US address and I'll have my company send out a bottle.
Perfect.
Done.
If you have any more information to share about your connection with Elvis, or I think you said you saw him. I wasn't too sure. That would be great to hear.
Here's the story about Elvis that I regret the rest of my life. When we were in Vegas then, this was during the last period of Elvis, when he's a little bloated, overweight, with his stuff. So he was at the Hilton Hotel where he used to perform. We're at the Riviera. So we're gambling one night, and we had seen a comedian named Shecky Green, who's an incredibly funny old-time comedian. Used to open for Frank Sinatra all the time, who we used to see all the time there too. So we're at dinner, and we just saw him the night before, and my brother and I wanted to go to a show, and my dad says, would you like to go see Elvis at the Hilton? We would have been first row. Like idiots. My brother and I say, no, we want to go see Shecky Green again. I could have seen Elvis Presley first row in one of his last concert performances, and I didn't do it. And I regret that to today. Now, I will tell you that when you see me in the UFC and I do my turns and stuff, there's a little Elvis added into that. Okay. So I used to watch the rock stars. I've always been enamored of rock stars and how they command their attention to the audience and everything. And I don't stand still when I announce. As you know, I'm very passionate. I move around. I get in the fighters' faces. I'll jump. I'll turn. I'll do everything. That comes from watching these rock stars, these singers. And again, a little Elvis, because am I an announcer? Yes. But what am I really? I'm a performer. So I'm there to perform and to enhance the moment as much as possible for the fans and the fighters and everybody watching. So that's where I put my whole into it. And the moment my passion wanes and I can't perform like that, I will not travel the world for a paycheck and a seat to watch a fight. I want to do it because I love to do it. And the moment the passion wanes, time for me to retire. That won't happen for a while though. Don't worry.
Thank you for sharing that. I just, even listening to your stories and how you're talking, my legs are shaking underneath the table. It's just an exciting talk. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's jump to Alice. Centauri. Alice? Do you want
Yes.
Yeah, let's jump to you. Do you have a question for Bruce?
Not really. Not really. Sorry, I'm not prepared so much. But thank you, Bruce, for what you share with us. It was really, really interesting and inspiring.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. And can't wait to see the fight with Vettori next Saturday. So.
Oh yes, yeah, Marvin is going to be good. They changed his opponent, but he's got a very tough opponent too. So I like Marvin. He's very cool. We get along very well. Very cool.
Yeah.
I told him about Italiano at his last fight after I announced him as a winner, and he got all excited. It was very cute.
So thank you very much.
Well, our people are beginning to hop off because we've met our hour. And I wanted to say thank you again, Bruce. That it was wonderful to hear so much of this I didn't know about you, and very inspiring. I think a lot of us have been sending private notes. It's always nice to see somebody who's risen somewhere that's really struggled and fought and didn't take no and didn't take no and didn't take no and didn't take no. And then here we are, because a lot of us sometimes just want to give up, and hearing a story like this is inspirational. So thank you. And we will enjoy seeing your fights at the cinema. And we'll look forward to your cologne and your awesome bourbon. Of course, I'm going to be hitting you up going, honey, can I drink with you? And
no problem.
Yeah. And then
no, it's all good. This has been a very, I'm sorry, Heather, let me interrupt you.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
It's been a very wonderful experience for me, and I really appreciate it. I'd come back anytime you ever want me. I'll see you all from the Octagon, the products and all. I'm not trying to sell you, but for the videos and everything, I also do you ever heard Cameo? The Cameo videos that are out there. My God, what a business that is. I mean, I just do 5 or 10 of those a day, but I do the cameos, and everything that we charge, we pay it forward. We give partial proceeds to animal, military, and children charities. You know, I always believe in paying it forward. And my partner and I, the reason we do so many of these videos at my website at brucebuffer.com and Cameo, the thank you notes we get, man, brings tears to my eyes sometimes. That's you got to enjoy life. You know, you got to get back and enjoy what you do. If you can grasp that, I think you're even more ahead of the game to enjoy your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I wish everybody extreme success, happiness, and prosperity. And like I always like to say, big cheers and no fears forever.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so much,
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Okay.
You too. You too.
You too.
Take care. Bye, Heather. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
If anybody wants to stay and chat a little bit, we can kind of hang out in here for a little bit.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was.
Well, it's so fun to see, you know, everyone that we invite to come and talk to us has a unique story. I mean, I had all these questions. I didn't have to ask him any of them. He literally just went from almost everything that I was going to ask. I was like, well, the only thing I didn't get to was asking about the World Series of Poker and about him being in a video game called Smite. I was like, okay, self interviews. So I'm going to try to hit him up to do the we're looking, of course, I don't know how many of you guys, I think you all know about the cinema week. We need as many people to say, we want you to come back to the cinema. And of course, it'd be important for him when I maybe can go back to the side saying, this is good for you. We need people coming to the cinema to buy tickets. And I don't know if it benefits him financially, but I'll let him know. This is a gratuitous thing. Hi, Sandy, darling. Are you saying bye-bye? You're muted. Unmute.
I know, I gotta go, but
Okay,
thank
love.
you. It's been brilliant. Really, really good. Thank you.
Next month is hopefully Howie Mandel. I'll keep you all posted. Mhm.
Wow.
I find out today or tomorrow, which I just say the first week. So just so you guys know, getting these celebrities is like herding cats or juggling cats that have chainsaws and razor blades. So that's why sometimes I think I've got one person and then their manager or their publicist is like, no, but I literally go after everyone. And then every now and then I get a nice publicist who says, okay. So I try to keep it unique and different and exciting. And, you know, I love the fact that, you know, you guys have interesting questions. Kim and Jim, you killed it. Thank you. Appreciate that. So it's,
well, I think I told you one of my friends in Dallas actually reps the Puncher's Chance. So it really is good. Like, I mean, it's not just let me say it because he's sitting here and I am a whiskey drinker. Of course, I'm a vodka drinker and a wine drinker too. So, but it's really a good product. I was really surprised by how good it was for the price point. I think it's like $30 or something, or it's between 30 and 40. It was really reasonable.
I can't wait because I've just now become a whiskey drinker. So this past, probably since I came here to Texas to visit my sister, her husband is a big whiskey drinker. And now it's like, dude, I love whiskey. I'm trying everything. Like I go buy all the little flights, the little ones, and then I try them all. And by the third one is like, this is fantastic, I think.
You're still down there, right?
Yeah. I'm going to be here probably.
If you want,
yeah. Huh?
I'll find out. I'll ask Donna if she can tell me the next time she's having a tasting somewhere.
Okay.
And I'll tell you where the liquor store is if you want to go try it.
Yeah. Of course, I'm going to hit him up and say, hey, Brucey, take care of me. Bye, Sandy.
Right. Bye, Sandy.
He's so cute. So, Jim, how great you want it.
I know. I was looking at the answer on my other screen here. I go, it can't be that easy. It's got to be more difficult. And then when I messaged you and I was like, I think it's UFC 100, and you're like, oh yeah.
And it's funny because I asked him, you know, is it okay if we raffle off something? I'll give you a question that somebody goes, this is a good question. I just literally read that because I was reading on his bio, you know, kind of what he's been doing. And I didn't realize, like, when I first met Bruce, and, you know, as he was saying, I worked for him for a while, and he was so kind. And it was a boiler room operation, and he was the ladies' man back then. I mean, he had girls constantly, you know, never hit on me because I worked for him. He was just a pleasant, gorgeous, lovely person. And this was kind of right as he was kind of entering into this world with then just working with his brother, Michael. So it was kind of interesting to see how it all came about and how he came up with his trademark. But he did not disappoint with his little, you know, play for us. So when I do our little clip, I'm going to see if I can't find that clip to put on our social media.
That was an amazing story about his brother. I had no idea that they were, wouldn't call them estranged, but they didn't know each other. And they just had, you know, if it wasn't for that chance of his last name being on that, whatever that piece of paper was, his passport or whatever it was, he wouldn't be on the UFC most likely.
Yeah. And then Bruce just really deciding the marketing, and that's where he was going. And I do love that for our group is somebody giving us some insight on, it's not just easy, didn't fall in the right place at the right time. They tried and they tried, they tried, and they tried and tried, because it's so easy to give up. It's so sometimes debilitating with no. And, you know, we talked about that with Dea and what was her name? The girl Dea and the IndieWire, Dana, about how often we just almost give up, and then we do that one more call and we succeed. And it doesn't have to be sales. Life is sales.
Yeah.
So So I'm glad we all enjoyed our WE speaker, there'll be more to come and some more. So you guys know, Kim and Jim, that Teresa's putting together a escape room for us. So she'll be trying to pull some people together and do something that's digital and just interactive, because the more we get to know each other, the better. And I want to know more of the members and get to know everybody. So we'll start doing this after the WE speaker. We'll start having this little happy hour for at least 30 minutes so people can chitty chat a little bit. I know their schedules usually after an hour, they're ready to go, but if they've got 30 minutes, it's like, let's hang out for a little bit and then, go about our day. So.
I'm sorry.
It's exciting to hear that Howie Mandel might be coming on. I love to mimic his voice. He does that. Hi, my name is Rubik's.
Bobby.
Bobby.
So,
Bobby.
The reason why he's doing this is that because Cinema Week is coming out, Howie is now working with some friends of mine that I actually tried to help them get it to cinema a couple of years ago. They're known in the theme park world. So I've known them since probably 1990. Like all my friends I bring on I've known for like ever. And this group has a interactive program technology that you can sit in the theater and you can engage with the animation on the screen real time. So you talk to the character talks back, and there's programmed animated movement. So the actor, which will be Howie, for the sake of Cinema Week, can hit a few buttons with its hand on the tablet. His face has a mocap. So as he's interacting with the audience, he can hit one button with his forefinger, and it might be pre-programmed that character runs across the stage. He can hit button number 2 with his middle finger, and the character can jump up and down and do like this, whatever they program the character to do. So then he engages with the audience because he can actually see them somewhere virtually, right? He might be in another room, another city, another state, another country, doesn't matter. It's all internet. And he can engage. So he's going to be sort of a master of ceremonies for Cinema Week. We're still working through it. It's still one of these lot of moving parts, and it's like you're herding cats again with kittens and fire hoses and whatever. But the goal was to announce this at our WE event, and then he'll start to sort of engage with NATO and everyone else, and then be talking about it. So we want to drive people back to the cinema. It's like, well, if Howie Mandel's behind it, he's a big personality, that should help, kind of curate more curiosity and get people to want to go. And then for the sake of saying, what happens at Cinema Week? Well, it could be you're just going to the movies during that week, or it could be some exciting things are going to happen that are new and unique. And this has not been done anywhere. It's been talked about to death. Everyone talks about having holograms somewhere and the, actors and stars on screen. There's a lot of stuff, but it all requires technology and money. And fortunately, some big money companies like Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Unity are all joining because of Howie. So I will, when I get the guaranteed date, I'll put it out there for everyone, but y'all got the little insider stuff because you're here.
Because we hung out.
Yeah, hung out. That's right. So I'm excited too. I've never met him, but I hear he's absolutely darling.
I think it's amazing all the work that you're doing, getting people to come and talk, because it really is. Like you said, we're all in this spot where it's so easy to just kind of crawl into a hole and be like, that's it, I can't do anymore. And it's just the warmth and the fun and the engaging. It's just nice to have that breakup.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we're going to start putting together a little bit more. So just so you know, Kim, because you're on the board, we're going to get together with the executive team and kind of craft a little bit more of what we can get done and stuff like what Teresa's bringing to the table. And we're also going to kind of look at the board members and see who is really able to step up and say, I have the time and bandwidth, because we can't have a bunch of names. They're like, I'm really too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. That doesn't do us any good.
Right.
Great to have you. But if you're too busy to help our organization become something, we're literally just a social group, which is fine, but we could be so much more.
Right.
So,
well, there's a value to the social, because it builds that comfort so that when you need to go to somebody, you feel like you can, because you already have a relationship with them. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, we could all have that with just our friends.
Yeah.
That's
it's funny. I just met Kelly Tricario, Mama T, for the first time. She came into Dallas. So we made sure that we met. And Tracy Huey and Brittany from Savantis. I hadn't met any of these people in person. And here we were, it's like, oh, in real life. Oh my God, you're even cuter in person. This is amazing.
I was so jealous. And I nearly went down to Dallas at the end of last month, just because I miss it and I like it there.
Yeah, it's fun. I've been enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, I'm there in August for sure. But I don't know if I can wait till August to come back. I might have to come back just for a weekend. I have friends there, so I just stay with them. And
Me too. So are you guys all going to CinemaCon?
I'm sorry, I was just going to introduce myself to Christine. I haven't met Christine, I don't believe. And so I'm Teresa with TK Architects, Christine.
Hi, Christine.
But to your question about CinemaCon, yeah, I think we're going. Well, I know we're going. I just don't know who yet.
Christine, can you hear us? Christine.
Maybe she's on a bathroom break.
But
For us, for CinemaCon, we're hoping to go. Right now, the border is still closed between Canada and the US. And, depending on how things go, we have plans to go, but things could change.
I'm here, so it's my backyard, but so I'll be here.
Long commute. I'm sure it might be tough for you.
It is, and it's funny because last year was the first year that I was actually going to get a room and stay on the Strip, because for me, the breakfast meetings start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the social events go till midnight, 1 o'clock, and then I'm driving home. Which, I mean, I'm not that far from the Strip, but it's far enough. And by the time you have to park and get your car out of parking, blah blah blah. So last year I was like, that's it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm staying on the Strip. So hopefully this year it'll be the same thing. So, but that said, Heather, I was going to say, if it's off Strip, so I don't know that it would be a good choice. But if we think that we need to provide a network place one evening, I can probably, I'm not going to guarantee it. I'll have to double check with operations, but I can probably get us an auditorium for, a few hours just to have like a social networking event. I know you were working on a room at CinemaCon anyway. But if for any reason,
office last year gave us a room. This year we haven't even talked about it, but it would certainly be fun to have maybe like this Sunday night, everybody comes into town and saying, hey, let's all get together. And this is just, bring your own checkbook. It's just a no host get together social.
Yeah.
I think that's always worth it because there's always a group that gets together anyway.
Exactly.
And if you guys have the ability to put us, that'd be
at
awesome.
least in a room, and I can talk to, I don't know how far I'd get, but I can certainly talk to a couple of my vendors and see if they can at least put out some of the stuff for us.
Yeah, you're the girl.
Yeah, I might be able to get like one of my wine purveyors to at least put out, the first toast glass or whatever the case might be. So
that'd be awesome.
So yeah, I mean, just, like I said, I know you were working on it right there in CinemaCon. I know it's still a while out, but as we get a little closer, a couple months out, if it's something you're interested in, I'll definitely go back and talk.
Yeah, because we really do want to make sure we get together and socialize and, spend a little time that we can all just be not distracted, right? Just be together. Right. If you do something at the show floor, then everybody's distracted. Here, if it's just away with you guys, we can really spend some good time and maybe talk about the future and what's been happening. I mean, where people see themselves, because I think there's a lot of fear still, right? And we want to be.
Oh, absolutely.
A sense
now
of,
today's a really good day for cinema, or for small cinema. The SBOG grants open today.
Okay, nice. Good.
So I don't know how much you know about those, but that's, it's $15 billion. So so fingers crossed. I know for us, that's a lifeline we've been desperately clawing away to hang on till it comes around.
What does that mean? Because I know that there's they need to be used for something, right? What's the deal?
Right. So SBOG is Shuttered Venue Operations Grants. It's open to theaters that meet specific criteria. Like you can't be international, you can't be in more than 10 states, you can't have more than so many full-time employees, or you can't have more than 2 of those things, I guess is the case. So like AMC's, Regal, Cinemarks, they're out. But smaller companies like mine qualify for it. And the money can be used, it's up to 45% of whatever your revenue loss was, up to a max of $10 million, up to a max of 5 applications. So theoretically, depending on how bad your loss was, you could get up to $50 million. But it just depends on what you lost over the year. And then that money has to be, basically you have to submit a budget for where you intend to spend that money. And it's got to be for normal and reasonable business operations costs. So, you know, the lease that you haven't been able to pay for the last year, yes, it can go towards that. Even in some cases, people like me, and I'm hoping this happens, who have been on reduced salary for such a long period of time, they can go back and give back some of that salary if they choose to. There's all kinds of, as long as it's a normal business expense, they're able to spend the money on it. They can't prepay things, like you can't prepay down principal, you can't do, you know, new investment. But, you know, if you've got to repair your seats, yes, you can, anything that's a normal business expense. So it's going to be huge for theaters who, you know, and also in cases of a lot of small theaters where maybe the owner has lent the business money to stay in business all this time, they can be reimbursed. They can't be paid, but they can be reimbursed what they've put in outside of their normal costs. So it really is a huge lifeline for all the small operators.
That is awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody like, you know, when I've got some of my clients that are trying to get me to help them sell their stuff, like Get Tamer, the guys that do the seat enhancement, is that something that a theater could then purchase now or no?
Theoretically, yeah, because it's a normal business expense, right? To upgrade your theaters. I mean, there are some, you know, they would have had to have said, say, put that in their budget. There's still some uncertainty, but they think you probably can't waiver from a budget line by more than about 10%. So if they had put in seating upgrades, whether they had intended for it to be recliners or something like this, then yes, they can spend. But if they didn't even put that in their budget, they probably aren't going to be able to do it.
Okay. Yeah.
But that said, if their budget covers all their other expenses, now they might have money to do that they wouldn't otherwise.
Like, okay. Yeah, it might be time just to, I don't know if you guys have ever tried this, but I tried it. I didn't know who they were. I just was at Universal City Walk and went to see the movie Fast and Furious. No, what's the other one? Not the Fast and Furious, the one, Hobbs and Shaw. And I went to the Dolby, what's Dolby Vision, whatever the Dolby room is. And I only went because it was at the time that I wanted to see it at the theater location that I went to. So I was like, oh, well, you know, I'm already a VIP member. So I'm like, let me try this. I fucking loved it. I was like, here I am, a girl that sold 4D and I still have my Luma client. I don't do proactive sales for them, but I do have stuff in the pipeline that maybe we'll be able to close. But I really like this experience because it was the kind of 4D element with all the cool stuff without the motion. I'm a woman of a certain age. I don't actually like the motion part. For a theme park ride, 5-7 minutes, bring it on. For a full length feature, to me, it was like, so
yeah, nauseous.
It was just too much for me, right? So I liked a couple of the movies, like the Spider-Man movies were kick-ass, but most of them, like, yeah. So these guys reached out to me when they saw that I was working in the esports world, and they said, we actually are in the cinema business and we want to be in more esports. Maybe you could represent us. And they're like, really inexpensive. And I'm like, okay. So they're like, we can do a whole theater, like a couple 100-seat theater for like 20 grand. So I'm like, wow, okay, interesting. So I'm like, just send me your shit. If I've been chatting with somebody and it sounds like the right thing, I'll send them your info. And I'm not going to shove your shit down their throat, but I can honestly say I loved it.
The product, right?
Yeah. So it's honest. Like, yeah, no problem.
Well, that's a big deal. I mean, you know, it's one thing to say I represent this company. It's another thing to say I like this company.
I love it.
You know,
well, you know, when I first started selling for Mediumation, I went to sell for them to help them grow in the theme park business. And when I tried their product the first time, it was a little ride film, like 7 minutes long, called The Snow Ride. And the movie company that produced that is called N-Wave. And they've got a bunch of, you know, they're like the Disneys and the Warner Brothers, and there's different studios that produce ride film content. And this is a great studio. They've got fabulous little movies that are like 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 12 minutes. And I was sitting on that little ride and I literally grabbed the handrails because I had been going up, and I was like, and they're laughing at me. You're afraid you're going to fall off? I was like, and then you really feel like you're going to the mountain. I loved it. So when I started selling it to the movie industry, I hadn't actually sat through full length feature. I had already sold Cinemex. I'd already sold Cine Columbia in Colombia and a few others. And I had actually never tried the full length feature. So the first time I tried the full length feature, we had our little opening, the little cinema called the Plaza Stadium 14 out in Oxnard. And the little party that we had to bring everybody out, the studios and other cinema exhibitors that were in town, we did Spider-Man. So we had like 100 people there, lots of fun, perfect movie. I loved it. And then the movie that was launching that weekend was the Transformers movie, the one that was 3 hours. Holy shit. I was like, fucking hell, make this stop. I hated it. And it was cold, the wind, oh my God. And I was like, had I tried this first, I'd been like, I am disingenuous. Shoot me now for selling this stuff. But thankfully I had tried this Spider-Man, which was fun. So I'm like, it really does make a difference on the movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And trying to give somebody like, okay, you paid more money for this ticket. It's like, these movies aren't made for 4D. They're just made to experience, and they're turned into 4D. And I'm like, it's really too bad. There's not somebody out there who says, I want to create a movie that's a full-length feature, understanding I've got a room full of effects that I can use, and I'm going to strategically create this movie, taking into consideration that we can do a wind blow, we can tickle your ankles, we can make some buzzing at the seats, we can make the wind start to scare you at a certain time in a horror movie. But no one's, there's not enough installations out there to make that make sense.
Right.
That's what, to me, based on experience for the ride films, that could be really awesome if it was just
made that way.
Sitting there for an hour and a half, let's not make somebody just go, oh my God, don't hit me in the back one more time. I'm going to scream and hit the person in front of me. Yeah. So, and maybe at some point, if there's ever enough installations out there, somebody will do that, but
No, it makes sense because 3D is not 3D that's converted to 3D doesn't compare to a movie made for 3D. A movie shown in a Dolby Atmos house that wasn't mixed in Dolby Atmos is a waste. I mean, you don't get the full experience unless it was created that way.
Right. Now, I did try to get the guy who made the Transformer movies, and I'm trying to get him to be a speaker too. His name is Lorenzo de Bonaventura. And my Lorenzo story is I met Lorenzo many years ago, again, back in the early days when he was nobody. He was straight from Wharton, and he was just a little, kind of a whiz kid that was just full of himself and whatever. He's brilliant. And he was a really good friend of a friend of mine who's deceased recently, and a guy named Alan Kaufman. And when that name is hard to forget, Lorenzo de Bonaventura, and I would see him in the trades. I'm like, wow, he's really done well for himself. And so I kept hitting up our mutual friend, AK, and I was like, do you think you could get me in to see Lorenzo? Would he remember me? He's like, Heather. Okay. So he took a meeting with me. He was so darling. And I was like, oh my God, you like I always say this to my friends. Oh my God, you did so well for yourself. So proud of you. You're doing much better than me. I'm still running the same donkey. But so I did meet with him, and we talked about him making one of his movies, and I just couldn't make it happen. But I actually just reached out and said, would you talk to my lady friends? So far, no movement. I'm like I say, 95% of the people I reach out to do not respond. 95. But that 5% is golden.
And I thought you had 100% hit rate.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. No. I mean, actually, the ones that respond, of the 5% that respond, 95% of them are rude. So it's a really small percentage that actually is open and kind and well. Most of them are like, who are you? Like, what is it? Is this a paid ask? No, we're just so. Yeah. I was glad that Bruce said he would talk, but I asked him actually last year when I was first doing my outreach, and I asked Herbie Hancock. Herbie was also rude, just so you guys know, not rude, but kind of dismissive. And I was kind of rude back. I said, you know what? Fuck you. You've told me year after year after year how much you miss me. Oh my God, we used to hang out all the time. And I'm giving you an opportunity to hang out with me and my friends for a little bit of time. I said, you log on to your Zoom, you say hi, and you leave. And he came back. I was like, okay. Well, he was absolutely lovely.
He was fantastic.
I really enjoyed that
one. Yeah, it's been a great series. Thank you.
Cool. Well, why don't we take this opportunity to say adieu. I love you guys. I appreciate you all very much. I mean, it's makes my heart happy to see your beautiful faces, and Jim, that you keep coming and that you have something to say. It's always it's one of the reasons I asked Teresa. I love that some of us just really rise to the occasion, like, I don't know this, guys. Mama, say something, because it does make you kind of feel united. And we'll eventually grow beyond this little cozy thing. It'll become something really big. And all of us in the beginning can say, we were part of it in the beginning. Right? It was taking
well, thank you for allowing me into the circle of women.
You're the honorary, dude. You're like, we love it. And there's a couple other guys that didn't come today, like Benjamin and the other guys that are in the UK or in, I think he's in Sweden. He loves these. He's like, these are so great.
That's the best thing, that, that there are men that say, yeah, I realize it's probably a little different for you. I'd like to be part of, changing some of that. That's pretty awesome.
Well, if you think about it, if the goal, and so Kim, maybe I share this with you, but I think Teresa knows, one of the things that inspired me to pull this group together is the guy that I used to work for a couple of years ago said that he thought it was hilarious when he saw me on a panel with all the old white guys, and there I was, tall blonde girl. I thought, why is, number one, is that hilarious, but is there a way to change that? So something inspires you to take action. Otherwise it would have just been, that wasn't very nice. And he's giggling like he thought it was funny. I was like, it wasn't funny to me, but it inspired me to take action. And I thought, why aren't we just, I'm not looking for every panel to have a group of women. How about we just are part of these other messages? Because quite frankly, there's a lot of insight from, the people like Miriam. There's a lot of ladies who I've known that were my clients that they're just freaking rock stars. I'm like, you're interesting. Maybe we could get these people and have them on panels, not just panels. And that was really kind of the initial inspiration. And then Bernadette and I were kind of helping each other through some like career change stuff. And she said, wouldn't it be great if we had a group of our own? And I thought, well, we got ICTA for the vendors, we got NATO for the cinemas, and I don't know what the studios have, MPA, but there's nothing that combines us all together for a unified voice. And now we have it.
Now we do. And it goes across everything. Like you said, it's cinema, it's exhibition, it's vendors. I mean, it's across the board, anybody dealing in this space.
And I am going to try. I'm literally going to do, just so you guys know, you're getting a little insider. Years ago, again, still at Mediumation, I wrote, I know, right? I'll close it. I wrote the chairman of all the studios. So I wrote to Jeff Shell at Universal. I wrote to Ken, what's his face, who's no longer at Warner Brothers. I wrote to Stacey Snyder, no longer at Fox. I wrote to Bob Iger, no longer at Disney. And I wrote to them a personal letter about the fact I was already working with him. I go, this is not a sales pitch. And I said, here's the movie. I'm already working with you. What I'm coming to you is wondering at chairman level, why aren't you embracing 4D and actually marketing it? Because these are your $1 billion tentpole titles, and you're letting some little companies out of Korea, Canada, Argentina, and Torrance turn your titles into a new experience. And y'all aren't even taking any claim that it was your idea, and you should. And I knew with my heart that the only one that would respond to me would be Jeff Shell. And he did. But unfortunately put me back with distribution. So I'm going to again step out and see if I can get any one of these folks to come and talk to WIE. Are any of them bold enough to sit down with us? So they're all going to get a personal letter. I'm going to put it in a FedEx package, spiral bind it, whatever, and see if I can appeal to them. I'm also going to go to Adam Aaron. Why not go to the biggest guy, see if he'll talk to us? But because I'm like, if you don't ask, you don't get. Maybe they'll all ignore me, but y'all are here. Y'all know I'm going to do it. And I'll let you know when I did. Because there's no other way to get to these cats, right? Just send him a letter, put it in a personal thing, and cross my fingers and see. Come talk to my lady friends. Yeah. The elephant in the room. So Disney, what the fuck?
Diversity inclusion is big right now. We'd be good people to talk to.
So enjoy the rest of your day. Love you guys.
You
Thanks
too.
for being the best part of me. Bye.